Okay, now that we have things blocked out, we are now ready to focus on creating some interpolation and some in-between keyframes. So first things first, let's go ahead and click our button that we've made. And let's go up to Windows, Animation Editors, and Graph Editor. And with all that selected, I'm just going to draw a giant box around everything. And with all that selected, I'm going to come up here to this little icon right here. This is my auto tangents, and I'm going to click that. And you'll see now it's going to make everything smooth. So now I can see that there's interpolation between everything. Not exactly the interpolation that I want, so we're going to need to fix some things. But we now have interpolation. Now the next problem that we need to fix is if I set any in-betweens right now, it's going to create keys that are blocking. And so I need to come down to the little orange dude with the gear, click on him, and if we come to settings and animation, I now need to change this. So I'm going to click on flat, change that to auto, stepped, and change that to auto. Okay, so weighted, auto, and then click save. Again, I always think it's a good idea to just double check. Orange dude, settings and animation. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, so at this point, we now have interpolation. Okay, but we can see really when we're watching him, he holds this general pose until right about here. Okay, what was that, about 10? We'll say 105. So what I want to do is I want to click the little button that we made, get everything selected, and I'm going to come back here to this original key. I'm going to right click on it because I have everything selected. I'm going to go to copy, and that's going to copy the keys for everything. I'm going to come back to 105, and then I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to paste, and paste. And now that's going to create a keyframe that will essentially hold until we get to here. So we still have a bunch of stuff to fix. But we're definitely starting to get there a little bit. Okay, so first things first. Or second things second. I don't remember where I'm at. All right, let's keep going. So he tends to shift his weight back and forth a little bit. So he shifts. Looks like it's back and forward a little bit. So I'm going to click this big circle and push him back and here a little bit. And then we could add a little bit of life to that bat. Just rotate it a little bit. Okay. And you can play around with this some more, right? Maybe add just little hints of movement here and there. Okay. Once you've done that, just click that button, S to set a key, and now you have a little bit of life in there. And so I think it's a good idea to kind of go ahead and try to pull from his performance as much as we can. So I'm going to slide forward and he goes back towards that leg. Back towards that leg. And this bat really starts to rotate a little bit more. Let's make sure it's not clipping his head. Okay. So you can play with some of this and really have fun with it. Okay. Click that button again and S to set another keyframe. We're just adding little bits of life. Oop, I don't want his, you can see his leg kind of pops there. So I'm going to go back to 51. I'm just going to pull that down just a little bit, just so that leg doesn't pop, and I'll click S to set a key. So now we've got some things like this. Alright? Okay, let's see what he does next. So we pull out. So he kind of pulls into that shoulder a little bit. Now he starts, so he holds that pretty well. Maybe just he starts getting ready right about there. So let's maybe a little bit of life just on a couple things, just so it doesn't look too static. Okay. Click the button, set another keyframe. And let's see what he does. So from here, from here, it's almost like his movements are getting a little faster. So he leans in and then leans back. So just slight leans in. So key. And then leans back. So key cells. So right around here, we're going to want to switch some things up a little bit. Let's pull that bat down. Let's start rotating it. Okay. He's really looking like right here. He's also really bent his knees. Pulling down again. You want things to pop. Yeah. Okay. Select everything. S to set a key. And some of this could be where we fight a little bit of gimbal. And so we might have to go into our graph editor for some of this. Okay. So our graph editor. Let's click this. Yeah, I can see there's some stuff going on here. So here, let's click all this. Just click it all. And let's go to curves, down to the Euler filter, and let's see what that does for us. Okay. Okay, and we'll keep working this a little bit. See what's going on here. Gonna click this as much. Alright, at this point you guys should have a pretty good understanding on the tools to start creating an animation. You start off with your storyboards, and then you can create reference reels, and then you build out or build up pre-visualization and or layout, and you start to create blocking type keyframes with your flat stepped tangents. And then from there is no perfect answer on how you apply the graph editor to animations. It's a tool, so any task that you get, it's always going to be different, and it's just about building in between keyframes, and then going back and forth between your view and the graph editor to really massage animations into something that looks and feels right. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead in this video, just so this video isn't super long with me just fiddling around with the tool, but essentially that's kind of what you do to resolve animation tasks. Is you just got to go back and forth and use the graph editor as a tool, and then you can always set additional keyframes, create additional in-betweens, and so forth as you go about solving your animation tasks. All right, so once you've had a chance to work your outliner and stuff a little bit, I might kind of fix these hips a little bit. So let's go back here. I'll fix those. Okay. Once you've had a chance to fix some things within your outliner and playing around with stuff like that, just kind of going through and fixing little things and going through and just timing things out a little bit better with your outliner, just kind of working it. What you're shooting for is to have something that feels pretty similar to this. So what I'm going to do, if I play through this, it's just going to play through this at about the fastest speed that it can. I can turn on my cache and it'll play it pretty well, but then I'll lose the background. So I'm just going to play it like this for now. And see, we should have an animation that feels pretty similar to our reference. And so we want to, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you can always exaggerate some things if you want to, but reference can be pretty nice into giving you a guide in some movements and things like that. And yeah, again, feel free to push and exaggerate things and have fun with it. But anyways, hopefully this has been helpful.